If you've been generating AI images for a while, you've probably noticed something interesting. Sometimes the image already looks good, but it still doesn't quite feel cinematic. And a huge part of that comes down to camera composition, because the perspective of the image completely changes the mood, the scale, the energy, and how immersive the scene feels. So in this video, I'm going to show you 7 camera angles that instantly change the feeling of an AI image, along with the exact wording I'm using inside Google Flow. And by the way, I'm using Google Flow here because it's fast, simple, and relatively affordable for generating and iterating images quickly. But these same techniques also work in Midjourney, OpenArt, Higgsfield, Flux, and similar AI image platforms. Now let's start with one of the easiest upgrades: low-angle shots. The Porsche image already looks cinematic from eye level, but once you add low-angle shot, or shot from below, the car suddenly feels much more powerful and dramatic. This works especially well for vehicles, architecture, sci-fi characters, because the lower perspective exaggerates scale. And with the astronaut image, the same angle makes the character feel more heroic and cinematic almost immediately. Next, let's completely change the perspective with aerial shots. This works incredibly well for environments and architecture. For the villa image, try adding aerial shot, drone photography, or cinematic top-down view. The environment suddenly starts feeling much larger and more immersive. And this works really well with the Porsche scene too, especially in landscapes, because the surroundings become part of the storytelling instead of just background. Now let's zoom all the way in. Macro shots are one of the fastest ways to make AI images feel more realistic and expensive. Instead of rendering the entire scene, focus on small details: the astronaut helmet, textures on the Porsche, reflections, dust, materials. Inside Google Flow, try macro photography, extreme close-up, or ultra-detailed texture shot. AI models are usually very good at rendering texture detail in close-up compositions, so this is a really useful trick. Now for storytelling, over-the-shoulder shots work incredibly well, especially with the astronaut scene. Instead of simply looking at the character, it suddenly feels like we're standing inside the environment with them. Try over-the-shoulder shot, or cinematic over-the-shoulder perspective. Now let's talk about wide cinematic shots. This is probably one of the most effective ways to make environments feel more cinematic, especially with the villa image. Try wide cinematic shot, ultra-wide composition, or epic environmental framing. The scene suddenly feels much more intentional and atmospheric. And with the astronaut image, the mountains and research stations start feeling massive in scale. Next is the Dutch angle. This one slightly tilts the camera and creates more movement and tension. Inside Google Flow, try Dutch angle, or tilted cinematic shot. This works especially well for sci-fi, cyberpunk, action scenes, tense moments. And finally, POV shots. This is one of the best ways to create immersion. Instead of looking at the astronaut, the viewer becomes the astronaut. Try POV shot, or first-person perspective. This works really well for exploration scenes, adventure shots, driving perspectives, cinematic environments. And these are just a few examples. There are many more camera angles and perspectives you can experiment with: fisheye lens, handheld shot, worm's eye view, side profile shot, tracking shot, selfie angle, isometric view. Once you start intentionally controlling camera composition instead of only describing the subject, your AI images start feeling much more cinematic, immersive, and visually intentional without needing insanely complicated prompts. I'll probably make more videos like this around realism, lighting, composition, and prompting techniques. So feel free to subscribe if you want to keep improving your AI images.